When the lights go out for good, it won't be strangers you'll need to worry about. It'll be the people you wave to every morning. Right now, over 93% of Americans don't have even 2 weeks of food stored. FEMA recommends a minimum 14-day supply, but surveys from 2025 show most households run out in 5 days or less. Only 6% own a working generator, and fewer than 8% have a way to filter water without electricity. Meanwhile, Power Grid reports confirm that just 9 key substations, hit simultaneously, could cause a nationwide blackout lasting months. DHS, the Department of Energy, and multiple cyber threat assessments have all said it plainly. The system is one bad week away from failure. So when that week comes, and it will, it won't be chaos from the city. It'll be fear from next door. The father with 3 kids and no food. The sweet old lady who just needs a little water. The family who smiled at your backyard barbecues, suddenly remembering you mentioned having a generator once. This isn't paranoia, it's math. 62% of Americans say they'd turn to neighbors first in a crisis. Do the math again, and that means you are their plan. When everything collapses, your home won't just be a refuge, it'll be a target. And that's why you need to know the signs, the quiet clues that your neighbors are preparing for collapse, while you're still hoping things go back to normal. Because if you can spot these early, you might have time to even the odds. Let's start from the top. 10. They'll quietly reinforce their homes, while yours still screams unprepared. You'll notice it one day without even realizing what's happening. The house across the street, shutters bolted, extra fencing up, maybe motion lights still working somehow. You'll hear drills hammering, generators rumbling for short bursts. It won't look like paranoia. It'll look like progress. But what they're really doing is fortifying while you're still debating whether things will go back to normal. In 2025, a Home Improvement Retailers Association report showed generator and solar panel sales up over 200% in residential suburbs, especially in the same regions where local power grids failed repeatedly due to storms or cyber attacks. It's not random. It's the quiet prepping arms race. The truth is, the smartest neighbors prepare silently. They don't talk about bug-out bags or post photos of freeze-dried meals. They upgrade locks, install water catchment systems, buy $20 worth of gravel to turn their basement into a micro-root cellar. They run drills disguised as kids' games, timing how fast everyone can move from bedroom to safe room. They're building fortresses under your nose, and every improvement they make becomes one more layer between them and the chaos outside. By the time the grid crashes for real, they'll have blackout curtains, sound-dampened generators, hidden caches under flower beds, and you'll still be the only house glowing like a lantern in the dark. And here's the real danger. They're not reinforcing because they think the collapse might come. They're reinforcing because they know it will. Once the lights go out, the fortified home isn't just a safer home. It's a signal of control. It becomes a local power center. Studies from post-disaster zones in Puerto Rico and Louisiana show that the households with backup energy and water became de facto community hubs, but also targets. Your fortified neighbors aren't planning to share. They're planning to outlast. And when your home still looks fragile, it's not just exposed, it's advertised. Your move? Watch for the signs. Extra lumber, sandbags, metal brackets, garden trenches. Because when your neighbors start turning their homes into bunkers, it's not just DIY, it's declaration. The collapse race has already started, and the ones reinforcing quietly, they're not planning to ask for help later. They're planning to survive without you. 9. They'll offer a trade, but it's just to size up your inventory, all right? Let's dive in. You'll see in those early collapse weeks, while you're still clinging to normalcy, a neighbor's casual barter offer isn't charity. It's reconnaissance wrapped in goodwill. They show up with something trivial, maybe a half-used candle, expired milk, something that feels innocent, and they say, "Hey, want to trade?" On face value, sounds friendly. On collapse economy terms, that's probing. They're not expecting a fair swap. They're hoping you'll reveal what you've got. It's exactly the play we've seen in regions of high instability. During Syria's economic collapse, locals used trade as a means to identify surplus stores. One man would offer something virtually worthless just to see who bit. And when someone did, they got flagged as having hidden goods. See, once you say, "Yes, I'll trade," or even ask, "What have you got?" you've just signaled. You're in the game. They now know your inventory style. Rice, beans, ammo, clean water. whatever your stockpile might be. If you say no thanks but hesitate, they log that too. You might think you're just standing firm, but they're reading your body language. Limp shoulders, thoughtful pause, glance toward your garage door. That moment of hesitation, they'll chalk it up to he's hiding something. Your defense: refuse the trade on principle. Or better, offer something worthless, something you don't care about. Fake inventory, a broken device, an empty can. Make your yard look like you're dry. Signal you're out of the market. Because if you appear as the market, you become the target. You don't want to be dominant in the barter economy that's rising when the system collapses. You want to be invisible, irrelevant. And the sooner they decide you have nothing worth trading, the sooner they'll move on. Because in that world, you're not the customer. You're the inventory. 8. They'll blame misinformation to justify spying on you. Here's the next tactic. Your friendly neighbor becomes your watchman under the guise of helping keep the community safe. They'll drop lines like, "Did you hear the radio says anyone on a list of hoarders will be reported?" Or, "I heard from the firefighter that government agents will check houses for supplies." These claims might be half true, entirely made up, or just a distortion of someone's rumor. Regardless, they serve the purpose of breaking down trust and giving cover for eavesdropping and prying. In collapsed systems, rumor networks fill the vacuum left by official channels. When you're isolated, a neighbor's friendly, "We should share what we have," turns into, "We're checking your shed, okay?" You'll hear, "Just for the community," or "We're doing this for safety." Suddenly someone's hovering near your window asking about your generator's noise, counting how many empty water jugs are stacked behind your fence. They might say, "It's nobody's business," or "They told us to watch for stockpiles." And you're on their radar. Your best response: disengage. Don't offer extra info. Play clueless. If someone brings up rumors, shrug, "I heard nothing." Act like you're just as lost. If questioned, say you're waiting for official word. And you'll abide by whatever the group decides, but under the hood you already know. You're not part of any community audit. Your goal is to drift beneath notice. Because once you become the one who knows too much, you're not a worried neighbor. You're a target with a flashing red sign. 7. They'll offer protection, but it's just a shakedown in disguise. Let's be frank. By week 3 or 4 of a protracted collapse, when lights don't come back, the grocery shelves are gone, and morale is collapsing. What seems like community initiative is often a thinly veiled power grab. Suddenly the neighbor's not asking, "How can we help each other?" They're saying, "We're organizing patrols, we need your support." Look friendly. Sure. Sound reasonable. Absolutely. But behind it is the message: pay up, or we might forget to guard your property. This isn't charity. It's control. We saw this in the Argentine economic meltdown. Blocks of apartments turned into strongholds run by the most desperate. In your blackout-ready suburb, it goes like this. A group of neighbors says they're forming a watch. They need batteries, flashlights, a contribution of water rations. They'll show up with clipboards and spreadsheets. "We're allocating duties, sign here." You sign, provide something. Then next month comes another ask, and another. Each time the implicit threat: if you don't participate, we'll note it, because this isn't about safety. It's about prospecting who still has resources and who doesn't, who will pay and who might be excluded or forced out. Your tactic: stall. Appear cooperative, ask for time, jot down you're waiting until other bills are paid, or say your batteries ran out, your budget's tight. Stay ambiguous, because if you coordinate fully, you become part of their machine, and that means you'll be drawn in. If you say, "No thanks," you're the outsider. The sweet spot: agree superficially but send nothing. Participate in meetings, nod, but keep your contribution minimal and delayed. Let them assume you'll be tapped later. Better to exist in limbo than join the protection racket and end up paying out for the rest of your life. 6. They'll stage a neighborhood check-in, but it's really an interrogation. When someone announces a casual check-in and hands out a clipboard, what you're seeing is soft power, not charity. At first they ask harmless questions. Any elderly who need help? Anyone low on meds? Those sound compassionate, but they're fishing. Social compliance science shows people comply with small requests and disclose more later, the foot in the door effect. And in collapse conditions, lists turn into ledgers. Questions target mobility and logistics because those predict vulnerability. who can leave, who can defend, who can trade. Logged patterns, who charges a phone, who drives daily, become neighbor-made wrist maps. It's tradecraft in civilian clothes, slow elicitation, mirroring and misdirection, techniques used to debrief and to betray. Intelligence writing calls this slow elicitation. Ask small, wait, escalate. And when people feel rapport, they leak more than they intend. Public rosters normalize surveillance. What starts as welfare coordination becomes data for opportunists. Security briefings and modern social engineering analyses show the same persuasion tools used online are lethal in real life. Create small obligations, then harvest compliance. Your move: treat meetings like depositions. If you attend, speak minimal. Pivot to logistics and infrastructure rather than your pantry, and refuse to sign inventories. Use plausible delays. Claim you're awaiting a friend's confirmation, or that records are at another address. If pressed, ask organizers to reveal first. People retreat when reciprocity is demanded of them. Carry a scripted reply. I coordinate with family. I don't keep an itemized list. Or ask me next week, I'm consolidating. Place a visible decoy crate of expired goods to satisfy casual inspectors while your real cash stays elsewhere. When possible, quietly log names and claims. Those rosters become blueprints. Make answers short, evasive, and procedural. Practice the script until it feels natural. Right now. 5. They'll stage an injury, not because someone's hurt, but because you'll open the door. Your reflex to help is human, and predators buy that reflex wholesale. The staged injury play is simple. A scream, an actor who collapses, a child who vomits dramatically, and your door opens. In normal life, you'd be the neighbor who helped. In collapse economies, that kindness hands over med supplies, water, a phone charge, and a foothold in your house. Social engineering research explains why urgency plus moral pressure short-circuits deliberation and forces immediate aid. People default to action rather than analysis under perceived crisis. In staged scenarios, the victim is a prop. Additional actors appear claiming kinship or distress and escalate requests. Can we come in? Do you have gauze? Can we stay while we look for a clinic? Fraud investigators and legal analyses document that faking injuries for gain is a recurring tactic and prosecutable in many jurisdictions. The financial fraud and criminal world has long used petty dramas to extract medicine and shelter. In a no-police environment, the cost of being the one who didn't help is social death. And that pressure is exactly what they exploit. Your protocol must be procedural, not personal. Triage from the threshold. Call out loud, clear instructions. Can you sit up? Are you breathing? Where does it hurt? And demand a name and contact. Insist you will help by directing them to visible public aid or an agreed neighbor first responder, rather than inviting strangers inside. Train household members to hand out decoy supplies for on-the-spot aid. An old towel, an empty med vial, a used bandage, so you don't part with real meds. Keep interactions in public view. Talk loudly so others overhear, and document the encounter. Compassion is not negotiable, but your mercy must be procedural, organized, limited, and documented so your help doesn't become the wedge that opens your door. Always. Or they'll confess a secret to make you confess yours. Someone will sidle up, lower their voice, and offer a half-truth. Between us, I've got a little stash. It's framed as trust, but it's an invitation. The technique, elicitation, relies on reciprocity and mirroring. When someone reveals vulnerability, you feel compelled to return the favor, and researchers show that matched disclosures escalate trust and information sharing. In stressed communities, that reflex multiplies. People hurry to cement belonging and will mirror a small admission by offering concrete details about location, quantity, or resupply cadence. The opener might be a single can shown briefly, a whisper of propane in the shed, or a modest boast about extra antibiotics. When you mirror, you validate, and you map. Your answer becomes an intelligence cue. Tradecraft debriefs and memoirs of espionage highlight mirroring and scripted confessions as basic human intelligence gambits employed to harvest far larger secrets. Don't treat intimacy as currency. Practice neutral scripts. Good for you. That's between you and your kin. Or, I hope it helps. Pivot to public procedural queries. Block logistics, relief timetables, volunteer rosters, so the conversation stays transactional. If you must hand over anything, give a verifiable decoy first. An empty tin, a battery-dead radio, an expired vitamin bottle. Then observe reaction. Record every encounter, names, dates, phrasing, and keep a visible decoy ledger. When people see documentation, they become cautious. Institutionalize bureaucracy. Simple forms, receipts, and public notes make deception inconvenient and traceable. And security analysts note that casual elicitors avoid documented environments. Keep interactions airborne, transactional, and documented. A whispered trust today becomes inventory intelligence tomorrow. Don't give them the thread they'll pull to unravel your house. Right away. 3. They'll wait until you leave, then strip your home like piranhas. It won't happen under the cover of night, it'll happen under the illusion of safety. Noon sun, silence, birds still chirping. You step out to find water, to check on a relative, maybe to scout a supply line. And that's when it happens. Your neighbors, the ones who used to borrow your tools and wave at your kids, become opportunists the second your front door closes. A 2025 FEMA behavioral study estimated that in prolonged grid outages, residential theft attempts rise 480% within 30 days, and over 70% are committed by locals within half a mile. That's right, not looters from downtown. The people who already know your schedule, your routes, your weak points. They'll watch when you haul firewood. They'll note when your porch light flickers back on because of a generator. They'll see you return from your supply run, heavier than you left. In Greece's 2012 collapse, reports showed that most home invasions didn't happen at midnight, but between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., because people still believed daylight meant safety. In Venezuela's power failures, it became routine for neighbors to strip an absent home for copper, propane, even window screens. They didn't consider it theft. They called it redistribution. You can bet the same moral decay will happen in any long blackout. Your best defense? Layered deterrence. Appear destitute from the outside. Broken tarp, soot-smudged windows, an old lock dangling. Keep a rotation at home, even if it's just one person or a decoy light timer powered by your smallest battery bank. A property that looks poor, unpredictable, or occupied is statistically skipped 9 times out of 10. The only thing worse than being robbed during collapse is realizing the thieves knew your name, your habits, and your dog's bark pattern. 2. They'll vote you off the island. Literally. There's no faster way to turn a neighborhood into a mob than hunger mixed with jealousy. When collapse drags into month 2, survival morphs into politics, street-level politics. Suddenly it's not who prepared, it's who's hoarding. Groupthink replaces reason and collective punishment becomes justice. In 2024, sociologists from Princeton modeled social collapse scenarios using real famine data. They found that communities with shared resources turned on high preparedness individuals 68% faster than on outsiders. Why? Because proximity breeds resentment. They know you've got light when they don't. They smell your cooking. They hear your generator hum. You're no longer a neighbor. You're a symbol of unfairness, and symbols get erased. It starts softly, whispers about sharing, then a meeting for the good of the block, then that fateful phrase, "We took a vote." You won't even be in the room when they decide your fate. They'll rationalize it too. He's putting us all in danger by keeping supplies. Her generator attracts attention. That's how mob ethics mutate. In post-collapse Argentina, residents of entire apartment complexes were evicted by collective vote, simply for having private food stores. And once you're voted off, there's no police to appeal to, no HOA board to complain to, just a dozen angry faces and a door you can't hold shut forever. Your counter-strategy? Fade. Blend. Never flaunt abundance. Turn off exterior lights. Use blackout curtains. Mask cooking smells with wood smoke or trash burn. When everyone else suffers, equality is survival camouflage. In a blackout democracy, the loudest voter wins, so stay too boring to be nominated. 1. They'll end you, and sleep soundly that night. When the grid's gone, the taps are dry, and there's no law to enforce consequence. Killing doesn't come with guilt. It comes with logic. The final stage of collapse psychology isn't desperation. It's justification. He wouldn't share. She was endangering us. They had more than their fair share. Studies from conflict zones in Yemen and Sudan show this chilling shift. By week 8 of sustained resource loss, community violence isn't chaotic anymore. It's organized. Committees decide who lives. Families strategize like militaries, and when they pick their next problem, they'll execute with calm efficiency, believing it's mercy for the rest. It'll be quiet. No yelling, no drama. A rock through a window, a door splintering, maybe a fire to send a message. They'll justify it as justice. During Venezuela's 2019 blackout, dozens of private homes were torched by mobs under the guise of resource equality. In Rwanda's genocide, neighbors didn't kill strangers, they killed friends. That's how thin the membrane is between civility and slaughter. Your defense isn't heroics, it's invisibility. Stay off every list, every rumor chain, every whispered suspicion. No smell of food, no flicker of light. Sleep shifts, escape plans, early warning systems, because when they finally rationalize that your death equals their survival, the moral switch is already flipped. They'll step over your body and tell themselves they did what had to be done. When that day comes, strength won't save you. Stealth will. Disappear before they decide you're a problem. Because when collapse hits its final stage, it's not the starving stranger you need to fear. It's the neighbor who still remembers your Wi-Fi password. When collapse hits, it won't be some Hollywood apocalypse full of raiders and mutants. It'll be the people next door. The ones who waved when you took the trash out. The ones who smiled when your dog barked too loud. When the grid fails, the grocery shelves are bare and help isn't coming. The human mask comes off fast. Studies from the University of Michigan's Disaster Resilience Lab found that trust between neighbors collapses within 72 hours of sustained resource loss. After day 3, cooperation plummets by half. By day 7, it's every household for itself. And if you think that's fear-mongering, ask the 1.5 million Puerto Ricans who lived through the 2017 blackout, where over 60% of theft reports came from the same neighborhoods where people once shared food, or the California residents who lost power for 6 days in 2023 and saw a 400% spike in local break-ins. These aren't worst-case scenarios, they're trial runs. The truth is, the collapse has already started. Quietly, slowly, statistically. Inflation eats your paycheck. Supply chains snap. Farmers warn of drought-induced yield cuts. One cyber attack, one EMP, one grid overload, and the clock resets to zero. So stop thinking you'll borrow from someone later. Stop assuming the government will show up. They won't. Stock up now. Learn water filtration. Get backup heat. Lock down your home, not your hope. Because when day 3 hits and your neighbors start knocking, smiling, crying, pleading, it won't matter what they say. It'll matter what you've already done. Stay alert. Stay prepared. Stay unseen. Because survival isn't about being the strongest anymore. It's about being the last one they notice.